9 major feasts. Good. The first one, just giving them Tinset or Annunciation. All these 9 major feasts of Christ are Holy Communion service should be held. But right now I'm going to explain that we are not yet there. It's the Feast of the Incarnation. The second one is Lidet, which is called Christmas, the birth of Christ. The third is Tinket, Epiphany, which is a commemoration of the baptism of our Lord at the hand of John the Baptist. That's the third. The fourth is the Transfiguration on the Mount Deborah Tabor. The Transfiguration on the Mount where our Lord carried the 3 disciples, Peter, James, and John, and he conversed with Moses and Elijah. And Peter said, come, let us make 3 tabernacles, because I was so fascinated about what was going on. So that is the 5th. The 6th, of course, we are accustomed to crucifixion, so Holy Friday. And the 7th is Tinsai, the resurrection, or Easter. The 8th, which we have just celebrated recently, is the Ascension of our Lord. And the 9th is Pentecost, which we have just celebrated on Sunday. So those are the 9. What I'm saying to you, some of these like Pentecost and Easter and Hosanna, which is Palm Sunday, those things take place usually on a Sunday. So it is easy because all the people are usually on a Sunday. But the ones that take place during the week, like Epiphany and the Annunciation and the Transfiguration, because it usually take place on a feast day, all we can do is to keep what is called a preparatory service. But what I'm saying, custom of the church, that all the major feasts of our Lord should be celebrated with Holy Communion. So sometimes, we are trying to get to that stage. But not only that, sometimes, the feast days, like we have the celebration of Holy Trinity Day, which is coming up, it usually takes place on a weekday, we can only do. But strictly again, that's another day which should be celebrated. So our celebration, if we should follow Ethiopia, would be almost on a daily cycle. But we are not here because we have to get the people in our Jamaican territory to come up to that standard and to become, and because of the work situation, during the week they have to work. So what we are trying to do now, the major feasts, what we are trying to do, just like in Easter service and in Christmas service, you usually start the vigil on the eve. So what we are trying to do, because Mass, strictly speaking, begins at midnight. Strictly speaking, our major feast, you do all the prayers, and at midnight you begin the divine liturgy. But so sometimes we have to start it earlier because of the customs of our peoples. But what I'm saying, what we are trying to do now is to institute wherein once you have a major feast, even if it is in a week, we give notice to the people and tell them that we will begin it just like Christmas, that we come in the evening, and near to midnight we begin the divine service, and we finish early in the morning, and we have the agape meal. That is a tradition that we follow. Immediately after communion service, we meet to have the love feast, agape meal after. So that is how we are planning, but we are not yet there. So I'm just to answer the question that about how often we meet. If we should follow Ethiopia, then we would meet every single day. Because even when we do have a communion service, there's a saint day. And one of the things that we come and do is to say the preparatory prayers, to do read the miracles of the Virgin, to do what they call what they say Mariam, the praise of the Virgin, because each day of the week we have a set of prayers in praises of the Virgin from Sunday to Saturday. They were all 7 days. So we usually do those, and after that now we read the particular saint and what his work was, and then we climax that, and of course we have a gospel and some lessons prepared for that day. We give a sermon and then we do the benediction. So every day of the week would be, strictly speaking, but we don't reach here yet, unfortunately.
Easter the same day that we do in America?
Tell me how you do it.
Is it the third Sunday in April?
Yeah, we celebrate it. Yeah, basically what we do on the Saturday night before we begin our service, and as I say, by about midnight we begin the communion service. Yes, the resurrection. Yes, Sunday.
Okay.
Sunday, yeah, man. Sunday for us, let me elaborate. Sunday for us is primary because it is what we call the Lord's Day, the resurrection of Christ, the day of the new creation. So Sunday, St. Athanasius, we have a saint who in the liturgy himself waxed eloquently about the Sunday and the Sabbath of Christians and the first day and the 8th day. There are so many things about the first day. So Sunday for us, yes, is primary.
Does I guess the church feel about people who follow other religions? Like, what is their fate after they die? Those who choose not to follow your doctrine, like, what is it?
Well, let me put it this way. All we do is preach the gospel, and we follow the gospel. You know that he who honors the Son honors the Father, and who believes in the Son is saved already, and who is not believe is damned. We just stop there. We do not try, because there's also another part of the Bible that says God says whomsoever he will. We leave it to God. We do not pronounce any judgment upon people of other religions. We try not to do that.
How does music feature in the worship service?
Music is the traditional hymns that we use, and sometimes we use kind of adaptation of the chanting from Ethiopia. That is all. But in terms of secular music and
No way.
strictly related and solemn in its tone and suitable for service. Because we make a distinction between the music for Christian worship as distinct from one for entertainment.
Any instruments?
The drums play a great deal. Now the drums, I must say, is really an adaptation of the brothers and playing the drum, but the Ethiopian drum, which is two-sided, we have not yet arrived at that too. We are practicing, but we have not arrived. So it's the usual Jamaican type of drumming that is, and I'm saying a local adaptation, because in Ethiopia, wow, they have the sistra, like what we would call like a cymbal, but it is it is so rhythmic because it goes according to the chant, and it goes to the movement of the clergy or the debtor as well. They go in tune, and the drums also have to be played in unison with all the stripes going and the chanting. So everything has to form a symphony. The sistra, the drums, and the chanting. But here we play the drums. Hopefully we are able to get the rhythm of the drums. Not all the while with the singing of the choir. But it's just the drums we use, and we sing the traditional hymns, and sometimes we do some chant. Yes?
Between your regular service and like the funeral service that we have today, because
Right. Today, because of the convenience, it was agreed by the relatives of the deceased to have it today, especially because of some relatives coming from abroad. Because usually what we usually do when our member has died is to have it on a Sunday, and we have the entire divine service, and then a section is left for the relatives and other people to give their tributes, and then after that we recede and go to the burial spot. But today now we are just going to have some prayers specifically for the deceased, and some lessons and the gospel as usual, and then we have the tributes, and then I'll give a sermon, and then after that a hymn for the recession into the casket, then to the graveside. So we just speak out the prayers which are appropriate for today, for the deceased, for the purpose of the burial service. As distinct now, if it was tomorrow, then the entire divine liturgy would be conducted along with the prayers for the deceased and the tributes and so on. So everything would be incorporated into one.
Like your story, like with this, I was wondering, first of all, like we know like people get different names whenever they're like baptized into the church. Have you always been like Ethiopian Orthodox, or?
Your own personal journey.
My personal journey, yes, my personal journey was one where I became a Christian in its real sense by being baptized and anointed in this church. Was never so. I used to attend other churches. I mean Baptist mainly, but was never a part of its formal membership. And then that was in my youthful days. Then after becoming adult, I strayed from anything named church or religious life and lived for most of. But at the age of, that is 1975, 27 years of age, I became a member of this church. In 1979, I was ordained a deacon, and in 81 as a priest. So that is my journey in a nutshell. So I was never with any other church, although I attended, but was never a formal part of the membership until this church came. Because I had some, identity issues. I haven't gone through like anyone else through the era of Black Power, particularly, and questioning, certain Eurocentric values and Eurocentric images, and wondering in my mind, how is it that everything that is perfect, including these religions, including Christian religion, which I had a very fondness for, because my father used to actually sell these pictures of the crucifixion and of the last meal. And it is funny, I used to help him to frame the picture, and I was always attracted by this Last Supper. Just instinctively, but it's only when I became a Christian I recognized the significance. But in always say, Christ and his disciples around this meal, what is it for? Just question in my mind silently. Not even my father would know, but always attracted to it. But then eventually I said God had a purpose. So when I came, it was all revealed by his own goodwill and purposes. Yeah, it was my journey.